state crime in Myanmar. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to hand over to Maung Zarni, who is going to run through the timetable for the day, and then we will begin the session proper. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Penny Green, and distinguished panel of jury and concerned activists and citizens, as well as those who are viewing this important tribunal from around the world. Last time when we had the conference on the plight of Rohingyas at Oxford University back in May, the event was viewed over several continents in about 40 different countries. So we're hoping that our message today will reach we, the people of the world, because I am of the belief that power knows. It knows truth far more than anyone in this room. Power spends billions of dollars collecting facts, and they sort out facts that do not support their policies. So there is currently a narrative, a popular one, despite the fact it's been punctured by civil wars, particularly against the Kachins and those in the northeast of the country, and the active ongoing genocide of nearly 4 decades. And so I'm not here to speak to power, because I know that power knows. But what we are here today is to tell the world's people that the international institutions, including the United Nations, that has been involved in this Burma issue for the last 40 years, since 1978, the United Nations has failed, Security Council has failed, and as Professor Penny Green pointed out, the international global governing justice mechanisms have failed. So we are here to call once again people's attention to the People's Tribunal and its proceedings. And then the second point that I want to make before I go over the program is that the tribunal has been endowed with what I call double independence. Independence from the financial powers, independence of state powers. I'm one of the organizers, and I'm with the organizing and steering committee, and we received money, funding for this event. They come from open, transparent, and credible and honorable sources, activists such as Mark Simpson, Koan, and then Muslim organizations, a coalition of a couple dozen Muslim groups, activist groups working to end the genocide of Rohingya in Burma, named Burma Task Force based in Chicago. We also received money from Women's Cooperative in Italy. And then we have received both cash and in-kind contribution, as well as intellectual contribution from the host institution, International State Crimes Initiative. So this is a multi-racial, multi-ethnic, multi-ideological sources that are contributing. And yet we have complete independence. We are not beholden to anyone who gives us a pennies. And the panel of jury, they are not beholden, although we invited them to come and deliberate the evidence that they will be hearing in the next 1.5 days, and in full session in Kuala Lumpur. They maintain complete and utter intellectual and political independence from what we might have to say. So we, as the tribunal, enjoys double independence. We are not tainted by any outside influences. And finally, in the human rights activism, of which I've been a part for the last 3 decades since a young activist, today is special for 2 reasons. One is the word Rohingya is not mentionable. It is extremely risky to say the word Rohingya. Yeah, Rohingya people themselves are afraid to say that they are Rohingya when they meet monks, military officials, or even human rights activists, from the NLD. So it is very significant that the 2 oppressed groups, we use the word groups instead of ethnicity or nationalities, because that's how Geneva Convention on Genocide has defined 4 different groups. So they come together. The two major oppressed groups of Burma, oppressed by the common oppressor of the Burmese military and whitewashed by Aung San Suu Kyi and National League for Democracy. They come together today openly and publicly, very unprecedented, to show that the oppressed will reunite. And I think like it is to their credit that we have this session. And then finally, the program. We are front-loading the voices of both the Rohingya and the Kachin activists who have been victimized, but they don't suffer victim mentality, but the truth is they have been victimized by the Burmese state, Burmese governments in Burma. Their voices are front-loaded today because in international human rights activism, usually, victims are asked to come and cry in front of cameras, and other people do the policy talks, intellectual analysis, and we are resisting that human rights orientalist paradigm. So it's very significant that the victims speak for themselves. They name the crimes that they believe they are experiencing. This is the radical, turning the notion of victor's justice on its head. We are not about victor's justice. If the victorious, powerful institutions of the world have ignored the voices that we are, they are speaking directly to we the people. And finally, the program. I'm not going to go over details. There are two sessions on the Rohingya victims because there's a groundswell of evidence about what they have suffered over the last almost 40 years. And then there will be a panel on the Kachin community, and they will explain what they suffer, and they believe that they have been subjected to, by the Burmese military, to international crimes, particularly human rights crimes and war crimes. There's an active war going on in the Kachin state. And tomorrow, we're going to have a press conference. After the prosecution team here, the three-member prosecution team made up of two British academics and one Malaysian lead attorney who has worked on the Rohingya issues. After their indictment is formally presented, we will have a press conference. In the press conference, we will release His Holiness Dalai Lama's support statement calling for the end of Rohingya persecution in Burma. And you will also view a 10-minute clip from Professor Amartya Sen, the Nobel laureate economist at Harvard, and one of the towering intellectuals, elaborating why the deprivation of essential life-supporting services for the Rohingya as a matter of national policy amounts to slow genocide. So we have a very intense 1.5 days. And so please, welcome the tribunal's judges as well as the prosecution team. And last but not the least, please show your solidarity with the victimized communities. We are here with them, not for them. We are not speaking for them. We are here in support and in solidarity with them. Thank you very much.